Hello everyone, good morning. I am Jazel and Joy J.D. Bonwabo. I am your teacher for today. Hello! Now this course is all about Afro-Asian literature and we will talk about one piece of it. So let us recall first what is Afro-Asian literature. Afro-Asian literature, it is a term for writing written by people from mixed African Arab ethnicity or African Asian ethnicity. It mirrors not only the customs and traditions of African and Asian countries, but also their philosophy of life, which on the whole are deeply and predominantly contemplative and hauntingly sweet. Afro-Asian literature is a sign of new and modern times. It teaches people and allows them to learn from different experiences and cultures from all over the world. Moving on to our topic, one of the African literature, The Anticipation by Mabel dubbed Danquah. So before we go to its story, we will know the author first. Mabel dubbed Danquah was a Gold Coast-born journalist, political activist, and creative writer, one of the earliest women in West Africa to work in these fields. She is known for her work of The Adventures of the Black Girl in Her Search for Mr. Shaw, 1934, and also selected writings of a pioneer West African feminist in 2004. Now I will read to you the story of The Anticipation by Mabel Dove Danquah. Nana Dakotu, Omanhini of Akwazin, was celebrating the 20th anniversary of annexation to the stool of Akwazin. The capital, Nkobi, was thronged with people from the outlying towns and villages. It was in the height of the cocoa season. Money was circulating freely and farmers were spending to their heart's content. Friends who had not seen one another for a long time were renewing their friendship. They called with gifts of gin, champagne, or whiskey. Recalled old days with gusto and before departing imbibed most of the drinks they brought as gifts. No one cared. Everyone was happy. Few could be seen in European attire. Nearly all were in Gold Coast costume. The men had Dakota sandals on their feet, and rich multicolored velvet and gorgeous hand-woven kente clothes nicely wrapped round their bodies. The women, with golden earrings dangling, with golden chains and bracelets, looked dignified in their colorful native attire. The state drums were beating paeans of joy. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon and people were walking to the state park where the Odwira was to be staged. Enclosures of palm leaves decorated the grounds. The Omanhini arrived in a palanquin under a brightly patterned state umbrella, a golden crown on his head, his kente studded with tiny golden beads. Rows upon rows of golden necklaces piled high on his chest. He held in his right hand a decorated elephant tail which he waved to his enthusiastic, cheering people. In front of him sat his soul, a young boy of 12, holding a sword of office. After the Omanhini came the Adontiheni, the next importance. He was resplendent in rich green and red velvet cloth. His headband was studded with golden bars. Other chiefs came one after the other under their brightly colored state umbrellas. The procession was long. The crowd raised cheers as each palanquin was lowered, and the drums went on beating resounding joys of jubilation. The Omanhini took his seat on the dais with his elders. The district commissioner, Captain Hobbs, was near him. Sasa the jester looked ludicrous in his motley pair of trousers and his cap of monkey skin. He made faces at the Omanhini. He leered, did acrobatic stunts. Omanhini could not laugh. It was against custom for the great chief to be moved to laughter in public. The state park presented a scene of barbaric splendor. Chief under retinue sat on native stools under state umbrellas of diverse colors. The golden linguist staves of office gleamed in the sunlight. The women, like tropical butterflies, looked charming in their multicolored brocaded silk, kente and velvet, and the uduko headdresses black and shiny, studded with long golden pins and slides. Young men paraded the grounds, their flowing clothes trailing behind them, their silken plaited headbands glittering in the sun. The drums beat on. The women are going to perform the celebrated Adowa dance. The decorated calabshes make rhythm. The women ran a few steps, moved slowly sideways, and swayed their shoulders. One dancer looks particularly enchanting in her green, blue, and red square kente, moving with the simple, charming grace of a wild woodland creature. The chief is stirred and throws a handful of loose cash into the ground of dancers. She smiles as the coins falls on her and tinkle to the ground. There is a rush. She makes no sign but keeps on dancing. Umanhini turns to his trusted linguist. Who is that beautiful dancer? I am sorry, I do not know her. I must have her as a wife. Nana Adakao too was a 55 and he had already 40 wives. But a new beauty gave him the same new thrill as it did the man who is blessed or cursed, with only one better half. Desire again burned firstly in his veins. He was bored with his 40 wives. He usually got so mixed up among them that lately he kept calling them by the wrong names. His new life cried bitterly when he called her Oda, the name of an old, ugly wife. This dancer is totally different, thought the chief. She will be a joy to the place. He turned round to the linguist. I will pay 100 pounds for her. She might already be married, Nana. I shall pay the husband any monies he demands. The linguist knew his Omanhine. When he desired a woman, he usually his way. Get 50 pounds from the chief treasurer. Find the relatives. Give them the money, and when she is in my place tonight, I shall give her the balance of the 50 pounds. Give the linguist stuff to Kojo and begin your investigations now. Nana the cow was a fat worker. He was like men all over the world when they are stirred by feminine charm. A shapely leg, the flash of an eye, the quiver of an nostril, the tremble of a voice, and the male species becomes frenzy personified. Many men go through this sort of mania until they reach their dotage. The cynics among them treat a woman with a little flattery, bland tolerance, and take fine care not to become seriously entangled for life. Women, on the other hand, use quite a lot of common sense. They are not particularly thrilled by the physical charms of a man. If his pockets are heavy and his income sure, he is a good matrimonial risk. But there is evolving a new type of hard-headed modern woman who insists on the perfect lover as well as an income and other necessaries or styles forever from the unbliss of marriage. By 6 p.m., Nana Dako too was getting bored with the whole assembly and was very glad to get into his palanquin. The state umbrellas danced. The chiefs sat again in their palanquins. The crowd cheered wildly. The drums beat. Soon the shadows of evening fell and the enclosures of palm leaves in the state park stood empty and deserted. The Umanhini had taken his bath after dusk and changed into a gold and green brocaded cloth. Two male servants stood on either side and fanned him with large ostrich feather as he reclined on a velvet cushioned seat in his private sitting room. An envelope containing 50 golden sovereigns was near him. He knew his linguist as a man of thought and diplomacy, and he was sure that night would bring a wife to help him celebrate the anniversary of his accession to the Akwasin stool. He must have dozed. When he woke up, the young woman was kneeling by his feet. He raised her unto the city. Were you pleased to come? I was pleased to do Nana's bidding. Good girl, what is your name? Ifwa, my lord and master. It is a beautiful name, and you are a beautiful woman too. Here are 50 gold sovereigns, the balance of the marriage dowry. We will marry privately tonight and do the necessary custom afterward. Nana Adaku is not the first man to use this technique. Civilized, semi-civilized, and primitive men all over the world have said very same thing in nearly the same words. I shall give the money to my mother, said the sensible girl. She is in the corridor, may I? The chief nodded assent. Ifwa returned, Nana, my mother and other relatives want to thank you for the £100. There is no need, my beauty. And he played with the ivory beads lying so snugly on her bosom. They think you must have noticed some extraordinary charm in me for you to have spent so much money. She smiled shyly at the Omanhini. But my dear, you are charming. Haven't the eyes? But, Nana, I cannot understand it myself. You cannot. You modest woman, look at yourself. Eye that long mirror over there. The girl smiled mischievously, went to the mirror, looked at herself. She came back and sat on the settee and leaned her head on his bosom. You are a lovely girl, Ifwa. He caressed her skinny black hair, so artistically plaited. But, my master, I've always been like this, haven't I? I suppose so, beautiful, but I only saw you today. You only saw me today? Today. Have you forgotten? Forgotten what, my love? You paid £50 and married me 2 years ago. So, in all, the story shows concrete details in how the culture, economic, and political context affects the flow or outcome, characters' actions, and the story as a whole. Perhaps these three aspects indeed play a vital role in the story. Also, in the story, the society views marriage as an assurance for a better life. This is evident on how the women are being portrayed. They are marrying a rich or noble man, to the extent that they disregard the fact that the man is already been married in the first place. This action that we consider deviant has been tolerated by the culture and the society in the story. The economic status also has something to do with this practice. Nana Dako is an Omanhini in his town. Here we can deduce that he is rich, powerful, giving him the rights to practice this polygamous act, since the only ground for it is that the man should have the capability, or as long as the man can support his wives and his families. So let us move on to the important elements of the story. First are the characters. So the characters are, first, Nana Adaku, the Omanhini of Akwasin, and was celebrating the 20th anniversary of his accession to the Tool of Akwasin, the man who has 40 wives. So the second character is Afwa, one of the 40 wives of Omanhin. So the third character is the linguist, the trusted person of the Omanhin. So the fourth one is the man of Akwasin. They are wearing Tokota sandals on their feet and rich multicolored velvet and gorgeous hand-woven. And the last one is the women of Akwasin with golden earrings dangling with golden chains and bracelets, looking dignified in their colorful native attire. And the next one is the setting of the story. The setting is Kwabi. It is the capital of Akwasin. The point of view of the story is the third person. It is because it is being told or narrated by a person who doesn't have an actual participation in the story. And let's move on to the conflict of the story. There are two of it. The first one is the man versus himself. It is because Nana was the victim of himself due to his foolishness on getting the woman he already has. The second conflict is man versus society. It is because of Aquasin's culture that a chief can marry many women. The wives of Nana had been forgotten and left behind just for the woman he desires. In other case, Nana was taken advantage of by these women, in a sense that they don't mind Nana's appearance, age, and how many wives he has. Wealth is important to them. And lastly, the theme. One of the theme of the story is expect nothing, appreciate everything. The story is a realization for everyone that all the things we have can be vanished if we don't appreciate them. And in the end, regret wins. It wasn't stated in the story that Nana regretted in the end, but we can say that he was, because he expected that Ifwa is not yet married, and he did so much effort to win her without knowing that he already paid and married her 2 years ago. And also, sometimes the things we anticipate are already there. It's just that we fail to appreciate them when we don't have any options or when we simply get bored. So, in all, in this story, we have learned the importance of valuing and to value our loved ones. Those who love us unconditionally, like our parents, siblings, and friends who's been willing to help, build us up whenever we are down, and motivate us to strive harder and to continue living a meaningful life, a life with purpose. So this is for video, the all about the anticipation by Mabel Danquah. I hope you learned something. Thank you.